Every town has its ghost stories, its dirty dark secrets, like a rotting corpse left to fester in a forgotten room, or a child abuse case left unsolved collecting dust. The witching hour is fast approaching, and all that which resides in the shadows and campfire stories for one night will merge into our world in a blur of reality and delirium. Well, at least it will for me. There was no reasoning with my brother. He was determined that I should take part in the game he called the Blind Ghost Trail. He thinks of me as a coward, that I will make an idiot of myself by not taking on his challenge, or that I will piss myself in the process. The streets were lit by an ominous orange glow. Decorations scattered across the pavement and into the road and houses lost in the night. They are little more than stone faces screaming silently to the spirits trick-or-treating from one door to the next. I realised it wouldn't be long until I would be made to peer into the horror hidden behind the door of the Blind Ghost Trail, and no treats would be offered there. I couldn't help myself from the burning sensation of curiosity. Both the challenge itself and the temptation of the unknown beckoned me. After a short while, I made my way to my friend Harry's. If anyone is to know anything of the trail and its origin, it would be him. And I knew it wouldn't be long until either I would pass my brother or his friends, and if not, they would definitely come looking for me. So I got to Harry's place and explained to him what my brother had planned for me, and how I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. Harry did not seem unknown to the whole terminology of this game, or the urban legend. He switched off his bedroom light and began to tell me a story as he knows it. He started by defining someone he called the Grey Man, in his take of the tale, and detailed this Grey Man as a less desired man for escape or solitude by evading reality and the social world, as my brother had told me previously. It was more that he envied those with confidence and the warmth of company, and was consumed with anger and resent. The Grey Man would be seen moping around at night, mumbling to himself in the shadows, a lumbering figure of a dishevelled man with skin a deathly grey, dressed in dark rags, always hiding and glaring at groups of kids at night. He would wait, shuffling, hiding out of view, until he decides on his victim. The last thing you would feel as you would walk alone is a heavy sensation as his predatory eyes set on you as he stifles on behind. Then you hear his nonsensical mumbling and heavy, raspy breathing. Once alone, he would entice you to turn and meet his ghostly stare. The longer you resisted, the closer he would get, be it days or hours. And the closer he was, the more he would drive you away from your friends. and fear he would follow them too. For once you stare him back, you would never be seen again. Once you have succumbed his stare, the only trace left would be several letters in the same space he caught you, in a black like ash, spelling one word: alone. Harry and I left his place not long after. I was shook up, and he unexpectedly offered to walk me back to my place. Not long into our walk, we came to a road where we could see my brother's friends in the distance. I turned to Harry without saying a word. I swallowed hard, with reality striking me, and before I could turn away, a hand touched my shoulder. It was Ethan. "What are you two girls up to? We've been waiting for you." My brother began directing us towards his friends. I knew I looked like a wimp as it is, as I approached them shaking, nervous. I can't turn away, and I can't afford to make things worse for myself by backing out now. I bowed my head and said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll play the stupid game." I looked up, seeing a big smile on Ethan's face. All of his friends looked smug. In a blur, we walked through a couple of streets and stopped at the same place I'd passed before, the Sam Dame Alley. The same stench of damp wood and an overpowering feeling of discomfort. Ethan rallied his friends, who readied me to the entrance of a rickety old shack of an alleyway. I looked back at Harry, who in turn looked up to my brother Ethan. "Well, what are you waiting for, douchebag?" I turned to look up at my brother as he said that, and said, "You never told me how this stupid game works. What am I supposed to do?" Ethan shook his head and turned to one of his friends. "Eddie, tell this dickwad here exactly how we play the Blind Ghost Trail." Eddie, a tall, chubby, dark-haired guy, approached and explained how to play, and I listened. I quickly memorized what Eddie explained and approached the entrance to the trail. I looked back, and everyone's mood had changed. Their faces were now solid and fixed anticipation as I placed my hand onto the makeshift wooden door and began to pull it open. It was stiff, almost as though it refused to open, though after a hefty tug, it gave in as a cloud of black dust sprayed out and vaporized into the air. A distinctive stench followed, causing me to gag. I held my sleeve over my mouth and entered the trail. Before I could turn to close the door, it was slammed shut behind me. I collected myself and took a deep breath, remembering what Eddie had told me. So I closed my eyes, just as he said, and I uttered, "Here I am, staring into the darkness of your world. Though blinded, I will find my way to the light and test your curse." I then began walking slowly into the darkness, my senses feeling heightened. Each breath I took doubled in volume, my heartbeat escalating as I continued. Then I stopped, realizing it wasn't my breathing echoing. There was someone or something breathing heavily behind me. It sounded like a quiet mumbling. I knew this meant I was to take it to the second level. So I paused, without turning around, to face who could be around me. And I spoke aloud. Here I am, staring into the darkness of your world. Though blinded, I hear you, and still I refuse to meet the shadows behind me and continue to the other side. I took a deep breath, struggling to retain my cool, knowing that I will reach the exit at any moment, step by step. I replayed the rules Eddie had explained.
Do not run. You have to walk. And you must complete all 3 steps to reach the end.
I began stretching my stride, telling myself it will all be over soon. I paused for the last time, hoping that I choose the right time to play. Then I realised, how will those guys know if I did as instructed? This whole thing, it could be a sick prank and they're all pissing themselves laughing. In the din of my inner thoughts, I feel a painful and sharp sensation on my right shoulder. Slowly turn to my right, without moving my body. And even in the pitch black, I recognise a lifeless, grey hand resting on my shoulder, its bone-like fingers tensing and clenching onto me, feeling the broken nails pressing into my skin. I let out a terrible scream and dart to the end of the trail. The door creaks open in front of me, the light pressing into the shadows and blinding my eyes. I clench them shut and I lunge forward, landing on the hard ground. I gradually familiarise myself to the sound of laughter as I am helped onto my feet. The first face I see, as my eyes come to focus, are my brothers Ethan. I knew you would do it. You've proven these idiots wrong. So Eddie, you're paying for the beers tonight. Ethan lets go and messes my hair with a smile. Still feeling the aftermath of the shock, I don't react. Harry then tells me well done, and then continues to follow Ethan and the others. As they walk off, I hear them call me over, telling me to hurry. So I gather my bearings and let out a soft smile. I did it, I thought to myself. I turned to face the empty door, to that ugly place, then back to the others. I then felt 2 strong, angry and freezing cold hands grab my arms, spinning me to face the trail again. In the shadows, a face begins to form, a cold, grey, merciless, inhuman face. It's him, the grey man. So, next time you walk alone in the dark and feel a presence behind you, be sure not to turn and look into its empty grey eyes. Well, as always, if you enjoyed that one, be sure to like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe, as we have some new projects following along very soon. For now, I wish you sweet nightmares.